Hello and welcome everyone to today's training AutoCrib standard reports. My name is Vivian Lee and I will be your presenter today. Jesse Van Dyne from the Professional Services Department will be joining us towards the end of today's session to assist with the Q&A. You have all joined this webinar in listen-only mode, which means that everyone is muted. Today's session will run for about 40 to 45 minutes, and the last 15 minutes are reserved for any questions you may have. At that time, you will be able to submit your questions through the chat or question tool on your screen. Today's session will be recorded, and a copy of the recording will be uploaded to the support portal. And if you missed any of the previous webinars, you may review the recordings uploaded there as well. So today we will be reviewing the most commonly used standard reports using the AutoCrib client server software. Please note that the same reports are available for preview on the AutoCrib.net version of the software. So before we can preview any reports using the AutoCrib 6.1 client server software, you must verify first that your report path is set up. And to do that, you would need to log into your AutoCrib software, navigate to Tools, Options, click the Locations tab at the bottom, click the Edit button, and verify that you have this path entered in your report path. If you do not, you may click the folder tree icon to the right of the report path field, then double-click the C drive, double-click Program Files 86, double-click the AutoCrib 6.1 folder, then double-click the Reports folder and click OK. So you should have this path entered in the Tools, Options, Locations tab. And once you've entered it here, you just click on OK to save. So again, this is only for the client server software. So before we begin, let's start by taking a look at some of the most common transaction types that you will see on your reports and in the AutoCrib software. So the first transaction is the I transaction, which stands for issue. And this indicates that the item was taken out of the machine. This decrements the on-hand quantity. B stands for burn. This item was taken out of the machine and it decrements the burn quantity. So the difference between the I and the B is that the I is considered consigned inventory and B is considered owned by the end user and is not consigned. If you have quantities in both the issue and the burn fields, the system will decrement the burn field first, and as items are dispensed until the burn field reaches 0, then the system will begin dispensing from the on-hand field and will record an issue I transaction. The R is for return. So this is for durable or perishable items that are allowed to be returned to the machines. A is for adjustment. So the item was returned to the machine because it was mistakenly vended. The issue transaction along with the associated cost is then canceled, and then this this increments the on-hand quantity back. The A-B transaction is adjustment to burn. This occurs when the item was returned to the machine because it was mistakenly vended, and the issue transaction is canceled, and in this case it will increment the burn quantity. P is for physical. So this is when the on-hand or burn quantity for the item was changed. It will be recorded as a P transaction. And X is scrap. So an item with type perishable or durable that was sent to scrap or disposed of. This will decrement the on-hand or burn quantities. S is for stock. So when the inventory for the item is replenished, either manually at the machine or by receiving a purchase order. PO stands for purchase order. So when a purchase order was created for the item, the transaction type will be indicated as PO. And PE is purchase order edit. A line in the purchase order was edited for the item. So to view reports in the AutoCrib software, we will navigate to the Reports menu and click on the Standard button. The standard reports are grouped into various categories: favorites, access, custom, graphs, inventory, miscellaneous, pick sheets, purchasing, summary, and transactions. So depending on the report, you can also set parameters to limit the data the report displays. So for example, some reports allow you to put in a date range, and some have a crib or item parameters. So these parameters will always show up in green on the right-hand side of the report. So before you click the preview button to preview those reports, you can use these parameters. So for example, on the 30-day average daily use, you can choose an item parameter. So if you only want to review the information for a single item, you can select from and select your item, to and select your item. And when you preview the report, you will only see transactions or inventory details for that specific item. So every report has different parameters to choose from. And those will become available on the right-hand side. So the preview button is used to preview or display the report. And once a report is previewed, you can then click the printer icon to print it to a printer, or you can click the export button to save it to a destination on your hard drive or a thumb drive. So you would select destination as disk file, click OK, and then you indicate where you want to save the file, on the desktop, or on the C drive, or on the thumb drive. You give the file a name. And then down at the bottom where it says Save as Type, you can save it as a Crystal report, you can save it as a PDF, Microsoft Excel, Microsoft Word, rich text formats, and XML. So all of these formats are available for you to save your reports. So also from the report standard menu, you have a print button. So if you don't want to preview it, you just want to send it to the printer, there's a print button here that will send it directly to the printer. And then there's an email button, and it allows you to email the report. So if you just click the email button, you would have to select a supplier first, and once you selected your supplier, if you want to change the email address, you can put any email address here that you would like to send it to, type in the subject, and click OK. Also, your email server account must be set up in the Tools Options, Email tab. So in order for your emails to go out from this computer, you would need to an SMTP email server with the outgoing mail, server information, user ID, from email address, and password. So just note that this needs to be set up if you are going to use the email function from this module. And then you also have the Add to Favorites button, and this just allows you to add reports to the Favorites category. So if I go in here and click Add to Favorites on this report, Add to Favorite, and Add to Favorites, and then if I go up to the top where it says Report Category and I select my favorites, they will all show up in here. So what's nice about the favorites is that when you navigate to Reports Standard, so I'm going to go out of the screen and then I'll go back to Reports Standard, the favorites is the default. So I will immediately see all my favorite reports on the screen. So I won't have to scroll to each category to preview my report. And then if there's a report that you no longer want on your favorites list, you can just click the Remove from Favorites button. So we're going to start by looking at the Access category first. So in the Access category, you will find reports that list the access controls. So if you have access controls set up in your system, you can view the access controls by employee, or if you are utilizing the access controls by job, you can preview the access control by job report. So for example, the access control by employee, I'm going to click the preview button, and this will give me a list of all the employee and all the access controls that are set up for them in my system. So some of these reports are quite large and they will take a little bit of time to pull up. So here's an example of the access control by employee. There's my employee number, the employee's name. This would be the first and last name. If they are not allowed to access any certain cribs, that would be listed here. The item that they are restricted from, and then the max frequency, current, and current day fields are all over here. So max frequency, current issues, and current day. So this will all show up on this report by group by employee. So I can see all my access controls here. And for access controls by job, if you have jobs set up and items assigned to those jobs, this report will show you your item code and description and all of the items that are assigned to that specific job and how many are allowed to be issued. So the next category is custom. So if you have any custom reports that we have created for you, and they would be listed here under the custom report category. So this will vary for each end user. You might have different reports for each. The next category that we're going to look at is the graphs. So the graphs report category will show graphs for transactions and usage over a period of time. So the monthly usage by department, employee, item, job, machine, part, this will all display graphs of the numbers of transactions and the value of the transactions over a 12-month period. So you will see two lines in the graph. One is the blue line and one is the red line. So the blue line will indicate the value of transactions, and the red line indicates the number of transactions. And this is for a 12-month period. Then we have the transactions by employee, transactions by employee per item, and transactions by item. This displays graphs of the number of issues over a 24-month period. So the next category we'll look at is the inventory category. The inventory reports or category includes reports that are used to manage inventory, such as physical reports, value reports, reports for cycle counting, stock out reports, and also it includes reports with bin and item information, as well as the inventory for the bins and the items. So some of the most commonly used reports here, we'll start with the item master. So the item master report displays a list of all the items and the detail of each item, including the item code, description, costs, supplier, manufacturer, class. So this report may come in handy when manually assigning items to bins. This is a full complete list of all the items and their detail. So the next report we're going to look at is the monthly usage trend report. And this report will display the usage of an item over a historical rolling 12 months. This report is useful in looking at seasonal demand or determining the min and max quantities for an item. So here's your rollback 12 months. And you can see from my first item here, in February, only one was issued out. And for the second item, in April, there's one issue transaction here. So this shows you monthly usage. So again, it's good for setting up your mins and maxes or looking for any seasonal demands. Next report we're going to look at is the AutoCrib Open Bins. So this report displays a list of AutoCrib bins that do not have items assigned to them. It details the bin number and the bin size. So you can easily add or edit the bins after the initial setup of your machine. And it is sorted by crib. So here's your crib number, the bin number, and the bin size. So these all are available bins that in the AutoCrib. So AutoCrib unassigned bins. Another report is the AutoCrib total unassigned bins by size. And this report shows the number of AutoCrib bins for each bin size that do not have items assigned to them. And it is grouped by the AutoCrib. So in Robo 01, I have 428 available bins. 30 of them are half pies, 39 are third pies, 54 are quarter pies, 145 are sixth pies, 160 are 12 pies. So this gives me a total for each AutoCrib machine in my system. Another important report here is the slow and dead by crib or item. So the slow and dead inventory groups them by crib, and it displays all the items that are slow moving or not moving at all. So under the status column, if it says never used, that indicates an item that has never been dispensed. If it says slow, that's any item that has not been dispensed in the last 60 days. And dead is considered any item that has not been dispensed in the last 120 days. So you have slow, dead, and never used. The next report that we're going to look at is the value by crib. So this report shows the crib, bin, and items assigned to the bin and their value. And then it gives a total value for the crib. So if I look for the last page with Robo 01, and I scroll down here, so here's my total crib value for crib 01. Then we have another similar report, the value by item. And this gives a listing of all the items and the value of their inventory. And this one is sorted by the item. Then there's one more report, the value by item sorted by value. And this one displays a listing of all items and the value of their inventory sorted by the extended price from highest to lowest. So this is the value by item sorted by value report. The employee and item download reports are also in the inventory category. So here's your item download and employee download. Now both of these reports are non-formatted reports, so they may be used to export to an Excel sheet. And once they are in an Excel sheet, it's really easy to slice and dice them any way you like. Or you can use them to be imported into other types of programs because of their non-formatting. So for example, the employee download report will just list all of your employees, their number, the last name, the first name, their badge number, PIN numbers, if they're assigned a department, cost limits, start time, end time, and any notes that were added in the Notes tab for that employee. So that is the employee download report, and then the item download is similar, again, non-formatted report. They can use to export to an Excel sheet or import into other types of programs. So this one just lists the code number, description 1, description 2, item type, issue cost, vendor item, manufacturing item class. And again, this will display only if you are utilizing any of those fields in the database. And the next report is the inventory reconciliation report, and this one lists the on-hand and burn quantities for all bins in the software. So you can use this report to compare with the actual physical inventory that's in the bins. Again, this is the inventory reconciliation. And it's a listing of all your items, the cribs and bins that they're assigned to, any on-hand or burn quantities, and total quantities for that bin. Now, other reports that you will find here are the physical reports. So we have the physical by item, physical by RoboCrib, physical by ToolCrib, physical by vending crib. So let's take a look at the physical by RoboCrib. So this report lists the bins for the RoboCrib, the items that are assigned to those bins, and their on-hand and burn quantities. So again, you can use this report to verify inventory when doing a physical at the RoboCrib. Next, we're going to take a look at the miscellaneous reports category. So the miscellaneous reports category includes various billing type reports. Typically, they would be printed out by the supplier and given to the end user's payable department at the end of every billing cycle. And normally this report will be accompanied by the supplier's invoice. So we're going to take a look at two reports. First, the billing by item issues. So this billing report bills on issue. So it will show all the issue and adjustment transactions and their value, and this particular report is grouped by the item. So here's the total value for the transactions. So this is the billing by item issues. And you can also use the billing by crib issues. This just sorts it by crib rather than by item. So there's a lot of data in this database, so some of the reports just take longer to pull up. That's why we suggest using the parameter fields if you want quicker results with your reports. I'm just going to close this one. So to make it pull up quicker, you can use a date selection here, for example, for your billing by crib. So you would just select, so if we want to just look at this month, we can select May 1st to May 24th. And if we just want to look at a specific crib, we can add parameters or selections for the crib, and then click the preview. looks like this report doesn't want to pull up. I'm just going to close it. Another report on here is the billing by PO restock. So if you are billing on stock transactions or S transactions, this particular report will show all the stock transactions, their value, and they'll be grouped by the PO or purchase order number. So again, this is good for billing on restock system. So for billing by restock, you can see here that I have the purchase order number and then restock value totals on the bottom here. The next category we'll look at is the pick sheets category. And in the pick sheets category, you will find reports that show lists, usually with pictures, and it will indicate whether the report has a picture or not in the name of the report. It will also display barcodes. So you can use these reports at the machine with a barcode scanner. So for example, picture of crib item report, show the bins, the items assigned to the bins, their pictures of the items, and the barcodes for the bins. And this particular report is sorted by the item. So any report with a picture in it, again, will take a little bit longer to load because of the file size of the images. Now, while this one is loading, let's take a look at some other reports in the pick sheets category, like the department, employee, job, machine, part, reason. All of these reports lists the name and the barcode. So for employee, you will have a list of all the employees and barcodes for their logins or badge numbers. So this one, there we go. So here's your crib by item picture report. Again, here it displays the bin number, the item that's assigned to that bin, a picture of the item, and a barcode that you can scan for the bin number. So that's the pick sheet for crib by item. And then if we want to look at employee report, I'm just going to preview this one. And here is the employee number, their badge, their name, and then a barcode for their badge. So they can scan that to log in if they want. And then again, a similar report is for by job, machine, part, or reason, if any of those are in your database. So the next category we will look at is the purchasing category. So the purchasing category contains reports that are used to determine what items need to be ordered. It includes the inventory input sheet, which is also known as the tag report, and other types of receiving reports are all in the purchasing category. So the bin status by crib report displays the detailed information for a specific bin or all bins in a crib, and their inventory status. So any on hand, burn, on order, issued quantities, or any open transfers for those items. So bin by status by crib. So this one is grouped by crib. There's the item listed here, and then below that, the bin number that it's assigned to. The mins and maxes will be displayed here. On hand, burn, anything that's on order, anything that's been issued, package quantities, reorder quantity needed, the unit price, extended price. The next report is the expedite purchase order report. This one will display all purchase orders that are overdue or passed on their due date. So it's useful in determining which suppliers you need to expedite with. So here's the PO number and the line number that's still open on that PO. That is overdue. The next report we'll look at is the tag report or inventory input sheet. So we have various inventory input sheets. One is grouped by item. This one is specifically for the AutoCrib. We have one for tool rooms and cabinets, and one for vending, which is for the coil vending machines or lockers. So depending on the type of machine, you would select the appropriate inventory input sheet. So we're going to take a look at the AutoCrib. And this will detail the items that are going to be restocked on a specific tag. So it will give you the PO number here, and then the tag number for that PO, and what needs to be filled. So the crib, the bin, the item name, and the quantity that needs to be filled in that bin. So usually this report will be given to a supplier's driver before physically restocking the machine. This is the inventory input sheet, which is also known as the tag report. It has the purchase order number and the tag number. The reorder by crib, reorders by crib, AutoCrib report lists all the items that are in a reorder condition. So anything that falls below a preset minimum level, the report will also show the related fields that are used in calculating the reorder condition. So here you can take note of the quantities that need to be reordered. So again, it looks at the min values or min levels. And anything that falls below the min level will be indicated on this report as needed to be reordered. The next category, the summary. The summary report category lists reports that show month-to-date, year-to-date, and last year's issues and costs. Normally, these reports will be used by top management to quickly determine the amount of money that was used over a period of time. And these reports do not show any transaction details. They are just summary reports. So, for example, if we take a look at the employee summary report, So this report displays the amount of money that was used over a period of time by a specific employee, without displaying any details of what items were taken out. So it lists the employee number, their name, the last issue date, and then the month-to-date issues, month-to-date cost, year-to-date issues, year-to-date cost, and last year's issues and last year's cost. So again, this is the summary report. So we have similar summary reports by department, by item, by job, by machine, by part, by reason, if you use any of those data prompts in your database. So the last category that we're going to take a look at is the transactions. The transactions reports, they show details of transactions that are performed at the machine. So examples of some of the most commonly used reports are the transactions by employee. So it's just called employee. So the employee report under transactions, this one is the most important report for reducing consumption of items on the shop floor. It should be printed and circulated to the user base once a month. The report contains a detailed listing of what each employee dispensed over a specific period of time. So with this report, you can use the date selection field to select a date range for the transactions that you want to show on the report. So here, the transactions by employee details the crib and bin, the date, the time, the item, quantities that were issued, the cost, and then if you are tracking the department, job, machine, reason, or parts, they would all show up on here. So the transaction type column is listed here, and there is a little ledger on the top right of this report that will give you a definition for each of these transaction types that you might see on this report. So this is the employee report, and then we have similar reports for the item, for the job, for a machine, for a part, or for a reason. So these are all similar reports. So here's the transactions by the item. So again, it groups them by the item code, and then the crib and bin, the total number of transactions and their value, total value for each item. And then again, we have similar reports for job, machine, parts, and reason if you are tracking those in your database. So if you are using perishable or durable type items, a good report to look at would be the open issues by employee or by department. So these two reports will detail who has taken out either a perishable or durable tool and still needs to be returned to the machine. So the report is useful in tracking down any lost or missing tools that may still be out on the shop floor. The next report, the regrinds by employee. This report will detail which employees are bringing tools back in for regrind. So if you do use the regrind option with perishable, durable type items, This will let you know which employees are returning items for regrind and which are not. Another report is the scrap report. Scrap by employee. So again, for durable and perishable type items, this report will identify which employees are scrapping tools so that management can provide supervision to reduce the scrapped tools, maybe additional training for the operators. This is the scrap by employee report. We also have the transaction download report here. This is a great report. Again, it's non-formatted report, and it lists all the transactions. And again, it may be used to export to Excel sheet, sliced and diced in the Excel sheet, or import it into another type of program. Again, the transactions download is a non-formatted report that lists all the transactions. So again, this report has the date selection field. So if you don't want to see everything, all transactions since the beginning, you can make your date selection or choose the date range here before you preview that report. And then a great report here is yesterday's transactions by employee. This is a great report to have set to automatically email the production manager every day. It details by employee what was consumed in their 24-hour period. So this could be sent out as a daily automatic report just to review the previous day's transactions by employee for each employee. So these are all the reports that we're going to look at today. On the portal, there's a document. I will pull that up here. If you use the search field and search for report description, again on the portal, if you go and search for a report description, you can find here there's a document named Description of AutoCrib 6.1 Reports. And here's a table that lists all of the reports, all the standard reports that are available in the AutoCrib software and the descriptions of what the reports will display. And it's grouped by category. So again, this is a list of all the standard reports and their definitions. Okay, so this concludes today's webinar session. We will now be available to answer any questions that you may have relating to today's topic. So please feel free to use the message box, and you can use that to type and submit your questions. I will give you just a couple of minutes to complete that. Okay, I will give you another minute. minute. I don't see any questions yet coming in. Okay. So let's see. I do see a couple of questions here now. Let's see. Slow and dead inventory report. Does it become a slow item when not dispensed often according to the amount of bins it occupies? So the slow and dead report, so the item becomes slow if it has not been dispensed in the last 60 days. So it doesn't matter how many bins it's assigned to. It's just if the item in general has not been dispensed from any machine at all in the last 60 days, that's when it's considered a slow item. So I hope that answers that question. If not, let me know. Let's see. Next question here is, in the reorder report, what does the issue quantity stand for? So let's take a look at that report again. The reorder report. That was purchasing.